everybody, my name is Brandon Thompson. I work full-time for NLCF, and during the academic year I spend most of my time focused on the campus services and the students. One of my main roles is overseeing the two worship ministries, production, which includes lighting, sound, and projection, as well as overseeing the music ministry. Now every Sunday is a time crunch. We have under 2 hours to make sure an entire 20-foot trailer is completely empty. All of that equipment has found its way inside, that equipment is set up and in working order. The band has time to rehearse and sound check, and anybody who is speaking also has time to sound check. Now last semester I noticed that I was doing a lot of joking while we were setting up. And by joking I mean saying sarcastic and passive-aggressive remarks. I also realized I had a tendency to try to one-up anything anybody said. What this would ultimately lead to is harsher, more aggressive, more negative things being said throughout the morning. I also noticed that as I did it, it encouraged other people to do the same thing. So Sunday mornings would turn into a stew of negative, sarcastic, passive-aggressive, discouraging remarks. Now, like I said before, I oversee the music ministry, so I spend a lot of time thinking about worship, the reasons for church, and church structure. Some of my favorite chapters in regards to this are 1 Corinthians 12 and 14. Chapter 12 talks about spiritual gifts and one body with many parts. Chapter 14 talks about tongues and prophecy, and also how to have an orderly worship service. But what I've noticed recently is that chapter 13 sits in the middle of this. Now chapter 13 is often called the love chapter. It's read at weddings all the time. So why on earth would this sit in between a chapter about gifts and a chapter about applying those gifts in an orderly way? And I think what Paul is trying to say here is that everything that we do needs to be done motivated by love. 14:1 actually says, let love be your highest goal. And verse 26 ends with saying, but everything that is done must strengthen all of you. Hebrews 10:25 says that we are to encourage one another. And it's this and verses like this that revealed to me how messed up the way that I was speaking. I wasn't seeking to encourage people. I was seeking to win the one-upsmanship award. I was wanting to be the person who was most right, most funny, most jabbing. I was demanding my own way without patience or kindness. I was being rude and proud. And I'm the person who's on staff in this picture. How on earth was I to expect that anybody else involved should behave any differently? Once God revealed this to me, I felt that it was appropriate to share with the volunteers and staff who were serving on Sundays that I was going to try to change the way that I was speaking, and I wanted them to hold me accountable to it. The way that I asked them to do it is anytime that I said something that was negative or sarcastic or hurtful, they were to tell me to stop, drop, and roll. Literally, I would have to stop what I was doing, put my body on the ground, and roll around for a bit. Now luckily, I think I only had to do that twice that Sunday. Romans 12:2 says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And I'll tell you what, having to literally stop whatever I was doing, put my body on the floor and roll around on it, certainly forced me to consider my words more carefully. So I guess that's my story. God is still working this out in me, not only not saying things that are discouraging, but also trying to build people up and speak encouragingly. I still have a ways to go, so if you guys ever hear me say something that is unloving, stop, drop, and roll.